Hello and welcome to the Millennium Sessions podcast. I'm here with
Fionn Heffernan, aka Moldboy. What's the crack, Joe? How are you getting on?
I'm good. That was a great performance today.
Thank you.
Do you enjoy being back in the Millennium Sessions for the second time?
I do enjoy being back. I kind of know what the story is now.
Yeah, you were a former student yourself. Well, still a student, but
Still a student, former person that did the in-house thing.
yeah, I kind of took your job here.
You did.
Well, in terms of the interview podcasting,
You're doing a great job, Joe. Fair play to you.
we've only just started.
I'm liking it already, though.
I guess I'll just start with the pretty standard question, which is great if I could remember it. So how'd you get your start in music?
How did I get my start in music? As in, how did I start playing music, or how did I get a...
Just your relationship with music.
my relationship with music. I was lucky that I started playing young, so I was lucky that I used to be childminded after school because my parents were working, and then I really looked up to the guy I was being childminded with. He was a few years older than me, and he was really into like Foo Fighters and Nirvana and stuff. And then a guitar appeared in my sitting room one Christmas from Santi.
Did you ask for it, or was it just?
I asked for it. No, I really wanted it. Yeah, no, I really wanted a guitar. And then I got a chord book as well.
Ah, I see.
So
Were you ever trained, or was it all self-taught?
I taught myself to begin with off YouTube videos, and then I went to lessons for a short period. But she was shite. She was really bad.
Really?
She used to cut her toenails, and she had The Simpsons on in the corner. And also one time, she made me learn the song "I Want to Make You Feel Like I'm the Only Girl in the World."
Did you sing it to her?
Well, I used to sing it. I wanted to sing it to her, you see, and I asked her, "Can I change it?" I was only like 7 or 8, and I said, "Can I please change the lyrics to I want you to make me feel like I'm the only boy in the world, please?" And she said, "No."
No.
So
That damaged your...
It did damage a lot, you know. It took me years to recover from that. So I stopped going to her because my parents realised that I was always sick on a Saturday morning when I was supposed to be going to see her.
Yeah.
So yeah, then I just did it myself then from then on.
And was it always kind of the folky stuff you were into, or was it just anything you could get your hands on with a guitar?
No, I went through all the phases at this stage.
Yeah.
I used to, before I moved out of home, I liked making full band songs so I had a really cheap drum kit and a cheap mixer and pianos and a bass in my room, stuff that I accumulated over time, and then I used to just try and record whole band things,
So
arrangements.
you've like experimented with different instruments and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just something... Was there any instrument you were kind of like, oh yeah, I could give this a go, but obviously you're always drawn back to the guitar?
Well, I think the only reason I'm mad for playing guitar is because it's portable, and I'm moving around a lot, and I don't live. You know, as a student, your address is always changing. You're not in one place for a while. So I think I've had like 7 addresses in the last 4 and 5 years, maybe 8 addresses. So all the equipment that I used to have is now in random people's attics and scattered around the country.
Yeah.
So I just decided I have to focus on playing the guitar for a while.
And this lovely guitar, where'd you procure that? So
this guitar, I was up in Galway at a festival called Failing a Prati.
Shortened to the Spudfla.
Shortened to the Spudfla. And I loved this guitar, but an old man named Johnny Markey owned it. And I kept playing the guitar and playing it and telling him how much I loved it. And then he just disappeared, and he left the guitar there for me and Tuan, another friend of mine.
So why do you have the guitar and not Tuan?
Tuan then gave it to me. We swapped, so then I swapped my guitar for this one.
So a bit of a trade.
And then my guitar fell apart that I gave to Tuan.
And now this one's suffering the same fate nearly.
Yeah, it's on the way out.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a beautiful yoke though.
It is very lovely guitar.
Yeah, it's excellent.
And that damage, is that from finger picking?
No.
What's it from, so?
So this guitar has many lives. This was Johnny Markey's. This was me. And this was also me. So I actually dropped it at Limerick Junction and smashed. And I had to get it fixed. So that's what this is.
So, well, when I was trying to say, I wish you had said, yeah, it's from finger picking, because I wanted to ask you, how did you get started with the whole finger picking? Because it's a big part of your style. Most of your tunes would be in the finger picking style. Like,
well, as I said earlier, like before I moved out of home, my whole thing was creating big arrangements with a load of different instruments, and I wasn't really a good guitar player. Like I could play a few chords and stuff, and then I moved out of home then, and I only had a guitar that Sunday, and I was like, I better get good at this or figure this thing out. And then around the same time, I really got into like players like Nick Drake and John Martin and Sam Grassi, and tried to emulate them for a while.
And then that's how you kind of found, would you say that is how you found your own style? Because it's very different than a lot of other folk players I've heard. You can see the similarities in some of the inspirations, but it's very distinctly your own style.
I like looking at, I think within songwriting, there's kind of become a commodification of it. So a lot of young bands think they have to emulate a sound and then be really young and sexy and sell themselves as a product. But I prefer listening to like visual artists and writers when they talk about like the fact that it takes, like it would maybe take like 10 or 15 years to eventually find your own style. So I think the minute I started playing music, I always just wanted to find something that was unique to myself, and that might be a long process. Like I don't think I'm fully there.
You're going to work your whole life
trying
to get there. Well, but you'll probably never even end up there, but it's more just you're constantly changing, constantly evolving, constantly becoming more like yourself.
Yeah, it's more, I just think it's like writing songs for me anyway is just like a search to do something unique to myself.
And what's your process like when you're writing songs?
There's no process. Sometimes I just, you just get an idea, and then you have to catch the idea as quick as you can before the idea disappears. Because if the idea disappears, then it's gone forever. Do you know?
Do you ever have an idea disappear and then you try to recreate it? That idea and those songs. Do you find they still work, or is it more?
I find for me like if I'm to write a song that like resonates and lasts, because I'm always writing songs. I try and write songs as much as I can, but the best ones that I look back on, like if I look back at a song 4 years ago, it usually came out in a state of manic flow, like I'd be out somewhere and I go, fuck, I have this idea, I need to catch it really quick before it disappears forever. And then I'll run home and try and pick up guitar and try and get it out before it's gone. Do you know?
Yeah, so it's that sort of flow state, as they say.
Yeah.
You get into that. Because sometimes do you suffer a lot with like writer's block sometimes?
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
I think like as an artist or a musician, you have to like keep yourself in a very unique state, because you have to be like you have to have really thick skin first of all, but you also have to be open enough to get ideas.
Yeah.
And then like you can't be very critical of yourself either. So I usually think like writer's block comes from when the critic is taking over the actual fun, joyful side of just playing music.
And you forget it's something you love doing. It's more something that you feel like you have to do to show people that I built myself up to be a musician now. Yeah,
once the like external validation comes into writing, I think it becomes a lot more difficult, because you can never fuck it. Excuse me, you can never control what other people are going to think of your music. You're never going to control, what anyone thinks about it. And then, so once those thoughts of like, oh, what are these people going to think, or what is he going to think, or I have to write the best song in the world, or I have to write the worst song in the world, whatever.
Yeah.
whatever expectations you're putting on yourself usually blocks the process a bit more.
So it's like a struggle between being vulnerable enough to be an artist,
Yes,
and being thick-skinned enough to also be an artist, because you've got to deal with criticism not only from other people but criticism from yourself.
and you're also embarrassing yourself every
Yeah.
day. You know, you have to embarrass yourself, whatever kind of. Do you know? Because I suppose because you started doing it because you want to make something authentic, but then to make something authentic, you have to be, you know, vulnerable, and then to be vulnerable, you have to overcome immense cringe,
Yeah.
and then so yeah, you have to. I don't know.
You have to bring out the fog machines.
You do
and
have to
all
bring
that
out the
stuff.
fog machines, then it'll be
Yeah.
grand. So I don't know. It's an interesting balance.
Bit of a paradox.
Yeah.
And in terms of when you're writing songs, you say you write often, but is there something in particular that like would really inspire you? Like, would you be, whether it be hanging out with mates, going somewhere, like visiting an art gallery, getting inspiration from other arts? How do you like gain your inspiration?
I love chatting to people. I love talking to everyone and anyone and random people. Like the person that's further from the demographic of person I'm in, the better. Like I like going out to the pub and trying to chat to someone that, you know, I usually wouldn't cross paths with.
Yeah.
And I think if you're like looking for that every day, just to chat. Like yesterday now I met a man. He was just standing out in Limerick chopping logs, and he was about 70. And I was chatting to him for hours, and he was just a very, very witty man. And some of that might go in and come out in a song, you know. So I think there's a very like sweet spot for me. If I've noticed, if a good song is going to come out, it's usually if I'm away from my home. So if I'm staying in someone else's house, I've had a weekend chatting to loads of people, and I'm slightly hungover. If those three things are at play, a good song may appear.
That's when the flow state, they're the ingredients for the slow flow state.
Yeah, like I heard my housemate has a good way of putting it where it's like a bird box. Like being creative is you build a house, that's the space you're in, and then you can put all the seeds into the bird box, and they're all your ideas. They're all the like external stimulus, like what you're reading, what you're watching, who you're chatting to, who you're hanging around with. But you still never actually know if the bird is going to come. You know, you never know if the idea is going to come. So, area.
The bird box is good analogy though.
It is.
It is.
Yeah.
So
where did you get your ideas from, Joe?
I think I'm the one asking the questions here.
I'm interested in this now.
Your old Millennium Session is taking over.
I am interested though.
In where I get my ideas from. Oh, I always say it's a bit like a bird box, man. You have the place. No, I just get ideas from just constantly working on music, and then if something sounds good, I just throw everything at the wall, and then if I see something, that's kind of what triggers the flow state, you know?
Yeah.
I throw everything at the wall. It might sound horrible, but then I'll throw everything at the wall another day, and I'll see something in it, and then I keep working on it, and then it just becomes a good tune.
So your philosophy is keep making things.
Obviously keep making things, but don't burn yourself out at the same time. You can keep making things over and over again, but the reality is that if you keep making things over and over again and you're not taking a break to step back and look at it, you're going to learn nothing from it. If you hear all these musicians talking about, oh yeah, you want to make as much as you can, doesn't matter if it sounds bad, but you can have, like what we were talking about earlier, that whole thick skin and like, yeah, I'm just going to keep working, doesn't matter if it sounds bad, but though as a musician, you're vulnerable as well, and you're going to, if you keep making bad things over and over again, that's going to affect your self-esteem, it's going to affect how you feel, and then you're going to feel like making music is a chore, something that you'd end up hating.
I think the key with it is never to base the stuff you're making on your own self-esteem. To be honest, that don't I try my best not to base my identity on being creative or being an artist. You know.
Yeah, because that's just pitfalls then.
Yeah. So that because then if I pick that yoke up and if I am a musician, whatever, it's no crack.
It's like putting on a costume almost.
It is. Yeah. You want to pick it up and be a kid playing with Play-Doh or
A kid's doing Only Girl in the World.
yeah,
Trying
to get as much fun out of the thing as you can when you're doing it.
Do you find that hard then? Like when you're playing live and stuff, do you enjoy the process of playing live, or is it more you feel like you're putting a performance on for someone and you don't feel like you're truly playing your own music?
The more as time goes on, the more I love performing.
Yeah.
I used to get very nervous before, but now I really look forward to it and love it because it's just I just like the energy in the room and the fact that like as a musician you have the power in front of you to create whatever vibe or energy you want. Do you know?
And is it like do you feel it's more a performance? Because you'd see, let's say, big rock band or whatever, you'd go to one of their gigs and you'd look there and it's a big performance. There's obviously people still in the room connecting with the music, but it's a big performance. But stuff like folk and what you're doing, it feels more intimate and communal.
Yeah, like I always look back at like my favourite musical gigs I've gone to, and all of them, to be honest, have been in small rooms. All of them, every single one. Like I've seen amazing acts and festivals and like lost my balls at how amazing it was. But I think even seeing a good poet or a good rapper or anything in a small room just hits a lot harder. It's a lot more. Do you know, they have a lot more power over the crowd.
Yeah, rather than a big festival where someone might be looking for their friend in the crowd, someone might be, doing cartwheels or something.
Yeah.
Whereas you don't have in a small room, you're kind of not forced, but you connect more with the person who's playing.
Definitely, yeah. And it definitely feels like a more we're all in this together experience.
Yeah.
You know, especially if you're in the audience with a folk artist, it's kind of like this whole audience wants you to do the best you can.
Yeah.
Do you know? So we're gonna try and push the artist on as like.
Do you feel there's kind of a tribal aspect to it?
To music?
Definitely,
yeah.
In terms of like any music, but like in terms of performing in a space with people and I went to one of your gigs and there was just like an impromptu, everyone sat down on the floor instead of standing and just sat and listened to you play. And I feel that's just such like a strong sense of community in a place where no one was like told to sit down. You didn't like, hey, you in the front, like sit down for this one. It was more just everyone sat down without saying anything to each other, just as like a kind of communal not hive mind, but that sort of tribal thing.
I definitely think like music plays a really, really important role in society anyway. It's that like release, it's that connection and that community that we really need more than ever in society. Like it just creates a space where you can connect with other human beings and dance and have a break from your life. I really like that post-punk podge code is leave the skin you're in at least once a week. And I think music acts as the perfect vessel for that in society today.
Just taking a break from it all.
Yeah.
Do you find music quite spiritual in that sense?
What do you mean now by spiritual?
By spiritual, I mean it's something to believe in. It's something to, like, it's a feeling that's not likened to, like, you can feel immense joy at a gig or something, but there's that feeling of just listening to music and being like totally engrossed in it and just feeling, not in your mind, but like in your body, the music, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think spiritual is a big word to put on it, like, but definitely. It is the life. It is the thing at the moment in my life where I get the most freedom from.
Yeah.
Like dance. I love going raving and dancing and all kinds of music. So I suppose it is spiritual, Joe.
Yeah.
Do you find it spiritual?
I do find it very spiritual. Yeah,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be doing this course. I'd be a priest.
Yeah,
Find
it's
something else
interesting.
to believe in. Like
Yeah.
your song you played today.
You want to believe in things.
Want to believe in things.
You want to
lad.
believe in the power of music.
Yeah.
I suppose it is a spiritual thing, yeah. That's a Bon Iver quote, isn't it? It's a spiritual effing thing.
Couldn't tell you.
Mm.
Not a big Bon Iver
I'm not
Yeah.
a big fan of him either. I just saw the quote written on the wall in Cork.
written on a Jacks in Cork.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's great, isn't
Mm.
it? I was even chatting to someone from Dublin there now, and he said he's very jealous of our course because of how easy it is that we can all come together
Yeah.
and go to a venue and just put something on and create that community really easily. It's a lot more difficult to do that in Dublin with venues and stuff like that.
And you have this rhythm and signs workshop going,
Yes.
and you had gone over to Italy to kind of work. Well, not work, but experience this workshop on rhythm and signs.
Yeah, I went to Italy 3 times over the last year to do this improvised music workshop. And the biggest thing that I took from it was the sense of community that it garnered, because it's just, there's really good pedagogy in it where the teacher is also the student.
Yeah.
So there's equal power between everyone in the room, if that makes sense.
So the student would be someone who would get up and also teach the
Yeah.
class, get up and conduct. Because that's what you do there, isn't it?
Yeah.
You conduct.
Yeah, I'm really passionate about rhythm and signs, and kind of would like that definitely will be in my life afterwards, keeping it going around the world, because it's just a really good thing to bring people together.
Mm.
Yeah.
I think that's all the questions I have for you, Phil.
Well, thank you very much, Joseph.
Thank you for being at Millennium Sessions.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Shinhei.